Why would you do that? You can't risk your life to learn magic. This is crazy.
And then along came Zeus. He hurled his thunderbolt.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. Welcome back to Personal Perspective, the place where we talk about unnecessary details in shows we watch. Today we're returning to The Dragon Prince to take a look at Season 2. Season 1 of the show ended with Rayla, Callum, and Ezra hatching the Dragon Prince, who immediately frees Rayla from her wrist binding. Meanwhile, Soren and Claudia are closing in on our heroes, while Viren is slowly gaining more power because of the princess's absence. Personally, I felt let down by Season 1. I had high hopes that this was an Avatar level show, and while the lore certainly holds up in that department, the animation, story, and especially the characters leave a lot to be desired. But you intellectuals told me that things got much better in Season 2. And yet, halfway through, I was starting to think you guys were nothing but a bunch of filthy liars. Jeez, I was starting to tear my hair out with how much I was disliking everything that was going on. What is so special about Season 2? I mean, look at Callum. He's still putting his friends in danger just so he can learn magic. Can we teach him not to do that already?
I could have gotten Zim killed. I put us both in danger.
Oh, okay. I guess we did teach him that lesson. But where's his growth? What challenging decision does he have to make for himself?
You're a human. You weren't born with an arcanum to do primal magic. But you were born to do magic. The kind of magic humans can do.
Okay, but look at Ezra. He's still an insignificant character who barely gets any development.
I'm not going with you to Zadia. I have to face my responsibility. Now that I'm king, I have to go home.
Viren is still...
I should end this right now. Throw the mirror into a river and cut you off forever.
You won't. You are too curious.
Soren...
I do want Dad to love me and be proud of me.
Claudia...
You're gonna be better now. That's all that matters.
Holy de dongos. This season is amazing. Alright, so yeah, Season 2 is indeed much better than Season 1. It's still not Avatar level, in fact there are a lot of problems. Most of the season still trips hard over itself, but the last few episodes, as well as certain moments sprinkled throughout the season, show a significant increase. And we'll go over those increases momentarily. But first, a quick recap. Callum, Rayla, and Ezra are continuing their journey to return the Dragon Prince to his mother in Zadia. This time, instead of with an egg, they have a hatched dragon who they call Zim. Claudia and Sora manage to catch up with the three and, momentarily, convince them that they're allies. However, the trio sees through their ruse and a growing distrust emerges between the two parties. Meanwhile, Viren is growing more underhanded and desperate in trying to gain power in order to push the humans further into war with Zadia. Despite his efforts, the other kingdoms don't go along with his plans, and people of his own kingdom start viewing him as a criminal. Eventually, he's forced to team up with a magical creature trapped inside a mirror who's clearly manipulating Viren. So let's go over the good, the bad, and everything in between. I think since Callum was my biggest problem in the first season, it's only fitting we start with his improvements.
What are you doing?
Meditating upon the meaning of sky.
Ugh, that's more boring than any answer I would have guessed.
Of all the characters, Callum goes through the most this season, and unlike the others, his journey stays interesting the entire way through. He's continuing his quest with the Dragon Prince, is trying to learn magic, has to deal with the revelation of his father's death, and sees the realization that his childhood friends were willing to betray him. The magic stuff is the bulk of Callum's journey. In the last season, he destroyed his Primal Stone, which was the only way he knew how to do magic. He was hoping he could learn magic from other mages, but from everyone he's talked to, it seems like Callum's only other option is dark magic, which he doesn't want to do because he sees how disgusted the elves are with it. So, Callum comes up with a plan. He's going to be the first human ever to do primal magic.
I will learn magic. It's who I am.
Yeah, I was iffy when I heard this. Whenever a story talks about someone being the first to do something, it's usually trying to make a certain character look cool and or make other characters look bad, and it's very easy to mess up. In order for this to work, the story has to A, firmly establish the rules around the activity, B, display how, by still following those rules, a character is able to loophole their way into being the first to do something, and C, show clearly why no one else has ever tried this. It also helps if it's not an easy process. Personally, I think Callum being the first human mage works, though it's not as strong as it could have been. The rules are definitely established, and the loophole Callum comes up with makes sense.
Didn't she also say that you have to be born with the arcana what's it to do magic?
No, she said you had to connect to the primal, and that magical creatures are born with a connection. But I don't see why I can't make my own connection.
The category that isn't the strongest but still kind of works is why no other human has ever tried this before. In order to learn primal magic, Callum had to embrace one of the primal sources, which he chose Sky, be talented at magic, both perform and reject dark magic, and then successfully interpret the Sky Arcanum within himself. It's true that very few humans would have had the opportunity to do all that, but it's not impossible, and it seems lucky that some of these opportunities fell into Callum's lap. During his journey in discovering the Sky Arcanum, Callum learns the lesson I was giving him grief about in the first season, putting himself and his friends in danger just so he can feel special. He tries to do it yet again in this season by going into a lightning storm with Zim. Zim gets hit by a thunderbolt, and while it doesn't affect him because he's a sky dragon, Callum understands now. Zim was way too important to risk like that, but he did it anyway. This was the first sign that this season was on its way to improving. A big problem, however, is that if Callum, a human, can do magic, then that means that the people of Zadia and the humans are fighting a pointless war. Humans can do primal magic, so there's no need to steal it from other creatures. If humans don't steal magic, the elves and dragons have no reason to keep them out of Zadia. The war is pretty much over, but I'm guessing there are going to be some stubborn people on both sides who won't come to this conclusion, and the war will continue on for frivolous reasons. Anyway, Callum not only deals with magic, but also with his father's death. In my opinion, the most real moment in the season is Callum not wanting to read Harold's letter.
There are words he hasn't said to me, and they're all right in there. They're just waiting to come to life. But then once I read the last word, then he'll really be gone.
And when he does read it, the writers once again demonstrate that they do have some hidden talents in there, giving lines that have an impact to the character as well as the audience watching.
There is a beautiful upside-down truth, which is that these moments of purest strength appear as weakness to those who don't know better.
In fact, this writing shows up in other characters as well, which we'll get more into later. There's a lot of genuine emotional moments in this season, and while no scene ever made me cry, I certainly felt for the characters. That includes where Callum finally gives in and uses dark magic. Good gravy, I was on the edge of my seat when that happened.
What are you doing?
Your kind of magic.
I really like how this scene was handled. How we know Callum doesn't want to do dark magic. How he's put in a situation where it's either do it or watch some seriously bad stuff happen. And how he has to pay a major consequence after he does do it. I also like that after he does it, he's constantly tempted again. Dark magic was so easy to do and it made him so powerful. It does seem like the only option if he wants to pursue his new dream. This leads to Callum's inner journey to discovering the Sky Arcanum, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. Not that it's bad, nor that it's unnecessary, it's just that it felt more overly artsy than anything. Oh look, that's a metaphor. Oh look, that's a metaphor, yay. But I did like seeing the payoff to everything Callum went through this season. I was iffy about it all, but I can't say it wasn't earned. But enough about Callum and what a big boy he's turned into. Let's talk about Ezra.
Someone's gonna have to teach him all the things he's supposed to do. All he's got is me.
Ezra spends this season taking care of Zim and trying to teach him how to fly. You know where this is going. There's going to be some grand moment where Zim really needs to fly and then, because of all the practice, is able to do it. Now that does happen, but this affects Ezra's character in a way I did not see coming. Ezra eventually finds out that Harold died and that, consequentially, he's the new king.
I want to talk to you about life and growing up, and how sometimes there are changes you don't expect.
I wanted to talk to you about life and growing up and how sometimes there are changes you don't expect. But when you grow up, sometimes you have to face things you're not ready for.
I wish I could go with you, but I can't. You and Rayla have to do this without me. When you grow up, you have to face things you're not ready for.
He makes a surprising surprisingly mature decision to stay behind and lead the humans. I mean, there are arguments that could be made as to why that's not the best idea, but I was just shocked that Ezra made a choice like that at all. Usually a character like Ezra would prioritize what the plot randomly decides is important, like Rayla deciding to rescue a dragon. Oh, don't worry, I'll get to you later, little missy. All of Ezra's flying training with Zim, being a parent and all that, was foreshadowing him having to later lead his kingdom and figure out how to take charge. And while not as emotional as Callum's, Ezra does get a moment to sink in that his dad is gone, and he has to do it without Callum comforting him, which makes it all the more difficult.
That must have been when he fell.
Fell? He didn't fall, Rayla. He didn't trip and land on the ground. He got killed.
Next up, the villains. Viren's overall character doesn't change much, but we do learn more and more about how he got to be the man he is now. We also see him become more desperate and underhanded in what he's willing to do. His pacing still isn't the best, but he certainly becomes a lot more interesting due to his connections with Erebos.
Don't lie to me.
I'm not lying. I never lie.
Now this is a good main baddie. Erebos appears to be an elf born of the Star Arcanum. We're told through Harold's letter to Callum that he was able to master all 6 types of magic, which might be foreshadowing that Callum himself will be able to do something similar, or that he'll get 6 creatures who can do one of each. He already has Moon and Sky. And Erebos lives up to the hype when we see him perform several different types of spells using Viren as a medium. This means that while Callum is the first human to do primal magic, he's not the first creature to do it outside an arcanum he wasn't born with. Unless they're saying Erebos was born with all 6 arcanums. Hadn't thought of that. I enjoy how, at first, Viren is only communicating with Erebos out of curiosity, and refuses to do anything else with him until he becomes desperate. It gives Viren more of an intelligence to him. He's not just willing to do whatever some dark mysterious figure tells him, especially when he's already controlling and winning at everything. The show seems to be going for a dark villain manipulated by someone even darker element. Erebos will give Viren everything he wants, while Viren unknowingly also works towards Erebos' goals. This means that Erebos is probably going to be the main antagonist rather than Viren, and that's just so much better. Erebos is all the more interesting because of the mystery and intrigue surrounding him. Why is he trapped in the special mirror that Thunder had? How did the Moonshadow Elves know about him? How does helping Viren further his own cause? It's just fun to watch this guy's plan unfold. Also, gotta say, great choice of voice. It's deep and menacing, but at the same time calm and soothing.
Search your heart. There's something that you want very badly.
I would hesitate to trust someone sounding like this, and yet would feel they have enough hold on reality to help me. Eric Dullums proves once again he can do amazing things with those vocal cords.
Until next time, this is 3 Dog. Ow!
Now we make our way back to Soren and Claudia, who actually shocked me the most with their character development. Let's begin with Soren.
I think I really messed up this time, Claude. I don't know how to stop it.
Throughout most of the season, he's still the big dumb brute fighter that he is, causing more trouble than he fixes. But then, super suddenly, he gets paralyzed while trying to fight a dragon. The scene itself is pretty intense, since we haven't seen any serious consequences to major characters up to this point. While in a clinic, Soren confesses to Claudia about his secret mission to kill the princess. He also confesses that the guilt was weighing on him, delivering one of, if not the, best line in the season.
Now I can't do anything terrible because now I can't do anything.
I also felt happy for Soren once he was paralyzed. It was very weird. His paralyzation made him feel free from any burden, but it didn't stop him from living his life. The dude has just lost his ability to do pretty much everything, and he's still able to see the bright side, creating a new goal to become a poet. Jaime Lannister, take some notes. I've often said, a character is more revealing by how they react to failure rather than success, so it moves me when someone is able to see genuine positives in bleak situations, which explains why I like this guy.
Well, I think about it like this. Why see myself as chained down when I can be chained up?
And of course, that leaves Claudia. Claudia's development is a package deal with Soren's. She does have some moments with Callum and how she's torn with having to trick the princess, but that isn't very strong. What is very strong is this.
Claudia!
If you have to choose,
Help me.
Choose the egg.
Soren!
It's revealed that Soren is the most important thing to Claudia, and she would do anything to keep him safe. In fact, when he gets paralyzed, she goes to drastic measures to heal him.
Claudia? What are you doing?
My mouth was agape with Claudia. She appears to be the most morally gray character, and that makes her the most interesting because I can't predict what she'll do next, and when she does it, I don't know whether to root for her or judge her. She is the best character to analyze when asking, are the humans the bad guys?
I'm sorry, little one, but you are agile, young, and alive, and I need you.
Now, Season 2 is a better season than the first, but it's certainly not perfect. It's time to go over things that either didn't work or I didn't like. First is, tragically, our girl Rayla.
Hello again, fella humans, human fellas.
Rayla was simultaneously the best character in the first season and my personal favorite, but she still had her faults. There were times where she just decided common sense was a luxury item she couldn't afford. Here in Season 2, she hasn't gotten worse, but she hasn't gotten better either. Because Callum and Ezra are showing signs of decent development, in comparison, Rayla is looking like the worst character. And she still gets hit pretty hard with the stupid stick sometimes. Alright, time for the rant of the video. Rayla and the princess witness a dragon attack a town and see the dragon get shot down. Rayla wants to go help the dragon because she's a softie filled with sympathy and compassion. Callum brings up two very important points.
I don't get it, Rayla. Why are you so worried about a dragon that just set fire to a town?
Rayla doesn't even know the dragon and just saw it burn down people's homes. Yeah, we the audience know that the dragon was acting in self-defense, but Rayla doesn't. She just assumes he must be good enough to help. I don't see her running to the town to help the people. They need help. Why are you being soft on this dragon?
Rayla, you're always the one who reminds us that the only thing that matters is getting Zim back to Zadia. Why are you hesitating now?
I'm not hesitating. This is different. Every fiber in my body is telling me this is wrong.
Rayla decides that the thing that's important to her is worth halting the mission. This is why she doesn't run down and help the town that's been burnt. She doesn't care about the humans. She does care about the dragon, though. Look, I'm not going to act like abandoning an innocent to save the world is an easy choice. I'm not even saying I wouldn't make the same choice Rayla does if I were in this situation. But good gravy, does it peeve me that Rayla acts like this is obviously the right thing to do. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Rayla, you can potentially stop the war by returning the prince. At the very least, explain it to me. What is your justification for putting one life over everyone else's?
I've been thinking about something someone once told me. About how when one person hurts another, then that person hurts them back. It becomes a cycle that never ends. But Callum, to break that cycle, someone has to take a stand when no one else will.
Rayla, you're an elf. This is not a moment of taking a stand when no one else will because you're already allied to the dragons. Any other elf, if they were there, would also want to help the dragon. If you were a human, or if you were going to rescue humans, then yes, you would be demonstrating your point, because you would be showing that you don't hate something just for what it is, even if it's an enemy in war. But since elves and dragons are on the same side, your point is mute. You're not taking a stand when no one else will. You're just taking a stand when no one else who cares isn't there. The only way this logic makes sense is if you take the princes with you.
I'm not asking you to come with me. Protecting that dragon doesn't just feel like the right thing to do. It feels like the right thing for me to do. If I don't come back, you and Ezra can get Zim to Zadia. I believe in you.
You are the only one who knows how to get to Zadia, Rayla. You are also the only one who knows her way around Zadia. And the princes, specifically, are wanted dead in Zadia. Playing martyr here to save one dragon when two nations going to war is on the line is a selfish and self-righteous decision. Yeah, I know, that dragon's probably going to be a very important help later, but Rayla did not know that. And finally, after Rayla decides to foolishly go rescue one dragon without any plan, mind you, she just goes down there and immediately gets caught, leaving the princess to travel to Zadia alone, and she has to be saved by Callum performing dark magic. What does she do?
I know we're close, Rayla, but Callum's not doing well.
That's his own fault for messing with dark magic.
She has the nerve to get on her high horse and lecture Callum about dark magic. You little... He only used dark magic because you stupidly put yourself in that situation. The least you could do is get off his back or take some responsibility. Oh, jeez. This season really wanted to test me when I said it was impossible for me to hate this character. No, Rayla, I still can't hate you, you awesome little ball of Scottish adorableness, but I'm gonna need you to tone the self-righteousness down. Speaking of people chastising others for solving problems they created, it's time to move on to King Harold, aka my official most hated character in the show. It's revealed in the backstory that all this war stuff that recently started happening is because Harold made a promise he couldn't keep to another human kingdom.
This winter, we will run out of food, and 100,000 people will die.
Then we will help you. The kingdom of Katalis will share all that we have with the people of Doorags.
Harold promises another kingdom his resources with no plan, just hoping things will work out. And when Viren tells him that he can't go through with it because their people will suffer instead, he just does it anyway.
If you share with them, 100,000 people will still die, but half of them will be from our own kingdom.
We will share whatever we have with them, and we will share in their suffering.
Your priorities as king is to serve your people first. Once they're taken care of, then you can do your best to help your neighboring kingdoms. And even if Harold was dead set on helping his neighbors, there are other ways to do it than just by giving them your stuff. Dedicate certain resources to finding a solution, which is what Viren sets out to do. So Viren delving into dark magic for the kingdom happens because he's trying to fulfill Harold's impossible to keep promise. This leads to the humans seeking the heart of a magical creature that rests within Zadia. Harold, being an idiot, doesn't listen when his wife brings up some pretty important points when going into sovereign territory and killing a creature there.
Is it intelligent?
What? What do you mean?
Does it think? Does it feel? Does it have a family?
The dude gives this grand speech about how justice should not care about the circumstances of one's birth. Yet he can't stop to think for 2 seconds that there might be something wrong with attacking a random creature he knows nothing about. It's even more frustrating when I think back to season 1, how in your face Harold was to Viren. Like Rayla, Harold gets on his high horse because Viren's been solving a problem he created. At least Harold owns up to his part in allowing Viren to do this kind of stuff, but man did it tick me off learning how he played a hand in all this. The script did a complete 180. Harold and Rayla were the only two good characters in season 1, but now they're at the bottom of the list. So a couple more nitpicks with this season. While the writing has increased in some areas, in others it has stayed the same. We still get problems of rushed exposition. That whole bond between Claudia and Soren is nice and all, but we have to, once again, get a talking head scene at the end of the season to hear exactly why Soren is so special to Claudia. It also felt very jarring for Claudia to bring that up while Ezra is talking about his dead dad. As far as the animation goes, I haven't noticed any significant improvement, but I also didn't see the frame rate drop like it did in the first season. And like I said before, the really good moments are mostly compact in the last couple of episodes. You have to sit through a lot of nonsense just to make it there. Seriously, by the halfway point, I was beginning to think people only liked this season because it had gay queens.
I can't lose you like this. You mean too much to me. Callum, Oh, look, you're awake now.
It looks like they're setting up Callum and Rayla to be a canon ship. Sigh. Okay, full disclosure, the show is doing everything right here. Callum and Rayla are becoming friends first, and they're not falling in love immediately, though only knowing for each other for like a few weeks is still Disney levels of pampering, guys. The main problem I have with this ship is a personal one. I ship characters who make each other more interesting. Usually that's two characters who are either opposites, like Zuko and Kintara, or characters who are extremely similar, like TK and Kari. In saying that out loud, I'm beginning to realize I have a bad track record with shipping. I like seeing Callum and Rayla, but I don't care to see them in the presence of each other. They don't really bring anything out of each other. It's a logical ship, but it's a boring one. Would it not be simpler to just keep these guys friends? Are male and female co-stars doomed to be eventual love interests? Did we learn nothing from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, people? So anyway, Season 2 was indeed a much better season, and has reinstalled my hopes for the show as a whole. The season still definitely has its problems though, and the show could easily slip back down to mediocre town, so let's just hope we stay on track. I keep seeing that picture of Ezra looking serious on the throne with his crown on, so I best go ahead and get to see what that's all about. Sokka boomerang joke? Here I come. This has been Shady Doorags. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.